council members present with the exception of Josh Martin and Josh Rivero, and Mayor Mike Wade is not here as well. All right. Next, special presentations. Oh, we have the Pledge of Allegiance. I apologize.
Oh.
Do we have any scouts out there that would like to come up and join us for the pledge?
Or former scouts?
Or former scouts, besides Jim Maloney? No? All right. Well, let's stand up and please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much. All right. Our first item is a special presentation, recognition and presentation of the flag to Forrest Edwin Dwyer. Mr. Dwyer, could you please step up to the podium? I'd like to tell you a little bit about Mr. Dwyer first, and maybe he can indulge us in a few comments. Mr. Dwyer is a WW2 vet, infantryman, Battle of the Bulge warrior, and a Purple Heart recipient. He is 98 years young. He will be 99 November 5th. He still drives and goes to the gym 4 days a week. He lost Betty Dwyer, his bride of 70 years, in 2013. Fantastic marriage. The Dwyers moved from Parker to Oregon approximately 13 years ago. Yeah, from Oregon. Thank you, Renee. From Oregon to Parker approximately 13 years ago and resides in Hidden River. At home, he has a fabulous plaque that contains his service medals, including the Purple Heart, and several telegrams that informed his family he was killed in action, then missing in action. In fact, he was taken by a German family and hidden until they could get him to the U.S. Army medics. He then was taken to a hospital in England after many months, was sent back to the States, back home. The rest of the story continues as he worked for Capitol Records until his retirement. Wow. Yeah, fantastic. So his daughter Sandy reached out to us to ask if there was a small way to honor her father, and Sandy is here as well. So before we honor Mr. Dwyer, Mr. Dwyer, is there any comments? Thank you for your service. Is there any comments or statements you'd like to make just to articulate some of these unbelievable things that are on the resume here?
Words of wisdom?
Pretty well covered everything.
A man, a few words.
All right. Well, again, thank you. So I'll come around after I read this, but we have a certificate of recognition to commemorate your heroic and dedicated service to your country, for loyalty and patriotism, as well as honorable service during World War II. And we have a flag certificate and United States flag. This flag was flown on June 25th, 2018 above Parker Town Hall in acknowledgement of your service during World War II. So again, thank you so much.
Picture.
Picture? Let's do a
would
photo,
you
yeah.
like pictures?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, Council, would you like to come down? So
Yeah,
we
let's
could
do that.
Make a little.
Follow Debbie. Or Amy. The other Debbie. Guess we're all doing that tonight.
They want to borrow you.
Anybody else want to be in the picture?
We have friends and family.
Let's do it.
It's all about. We're so proud of him.
That's all it is, man.
Well, they're gonna have to get a little tighter than that. A little snugger.
I think we have it. In fact, I can move closer. All right. 1, 2, 3. Take a couple. All right. Perfect. Thank you.
Wow.
You know, after 8 years, you would think we would have tissues up here. I've only requested it a few times, you guys.
Thought we did.
Scott Jackson used to bring them for me for these moments, but. Thank you. I'm like digging through my purse over here, like, oh, wow. That was really special.
All right.
Mayor Pro Tem, we do have one other slight special presentation.
Okay.
Since it happens today, you are acting as our mayor, and today also is your actual birthday. If people would join us, we're going to sing to him. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Johnny. Happy birthday to you.
Great.
Woo!
Thank you.
All right.
I'm not quite 98.
Right,
but,
right. Just a few,
Are
just
you
a few
working
more
out 4
years.
days a week? 4 days a week?
I think Mr. Dwyer has me on many fronts, I
right.
believe. But,
Wow, he's amazing.
yeah, thank you for everybody. Thank you again. Next item on the agenda is Chamber of Commerce updates. Is there a Chamber of Commerce person here?
I don't think so.
See one. Nope. Next is DBA, I guess not. Nope. Okay, so we have public comment. So we have general public comment next on the agenda. It's a 3-minute limit. No action will be taken on these items, so if there is something not on the agenda and you would like to discuss it, please feel free to come forward and give your name and address, please.
I hope I'm tall enough. I know I have 3 minutes, and I tested this at home, so I can do it.
Good.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Diane Colbeck, and I'm here with my husband, Brian. We have been Parker residents for over 30 years and live on Hilltop Road. We are currently working with Janice Jensen, a local realtor, to sell our property, but have encountered a major problem. We are formally requesting that you align density calculations with the industry and the municipal standard of other planning departments. The current density allocation has proven to be a substantial barrier to the sale of our home. As it stands, our property, although not annexed into the town of Parker, currently falls under the Parker Master Plan as having 2.2 homes per acre, which is ordinarily would equate to 37 buildable homes if density calculations were determined by gross acreage. However, the planning department has advised us that they will not determine density on our 17 acres and allow us to cluster the homes. Instead, they are only allowing density based on 11 acres, which is the number of acres not in the flood zone. As we said, this is contrary to the industry standard. After contacting over 11 municipal planning departments, all departments confirmed that they use the gross acreage method. In other words, they would allow us to determine density on our 17 acres, but only build on 11. To put it another way, they recognize that essentially it's a win-win situation for the community and landowner. The community has open space by floodplain, additional revenue due to higher density, and the landowner is able to develop their land according to the reasonable and normal density standards. When we purchased our property, we had 24 acres of land. Over time, with increasing growth, our community has required the use of our land for public roads, the widening of Hilltop, water drainage for the surrounding subdivisions. Unfortunately, our historical home, built in 1883, has been vandalized several times, and we have trespassers on a regular basis. We are ready to move on to the next chapter. We began with 24 acres, and now, in effect, we're down to 11 because of this density calculation. Please understand, we are not asking for the ability to saturate our land with homes. We are asking that you work with us to allow the full density that was our right prior to the floodplain designation. What seems like an arbitrary density rule is hindering the sale of our property. While flood zone designations are no doubt important, they should not serve as a way to prevent a homeowner from exercising their legal rights to develop the remaining land. The majority of other municipalities see it that way as well. Calculating density using gross acreage method can have a tangible economic benefit to everyone, including, and most importantly, to our community. Please expedite this change as soon as possible. Thank you. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Diane. Appreciate it. Anybody else for public comment? Seeing none, I will close public comment at 7:13. On to the next reports, items, and comments from Mayor and Council. We're going to discontinue that tonight. Number 6, consent agenda. Consent agenda items are considered to be routine and will be enacted by one motion and vote. There will be no separate discussion of consent agenda items unless council votes to remove an item for individual discussion. Ordinances on the consent agenda are for introduction only and will not be removed for discussion.
Mayor Pro Dyak, I think there was another speaker. What was the name, Carol? Ramsey, I think was the last name. That.
Yes, he's going to be commenting on a item going for public hearing.
Oh, okay.
But thank you.
Okay, thank you.
I move to approve consent agenda items 6A through I with the acknowledgement that Renee Williams was not present for the July 2nd meeting minutes that we are approving this evening.
Great.
And then based upon the rule of necessity, if Renee Williams did not vote on this item, you would not have a quorum. So in this case, she does get to vote, even though she was absent from the meeting which these minutes were taken.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. Motions on the floor?
Second.
I have a second. So a motion by Amy, a second by Debbie. Please vote. Motion carries unanimously. Number 7, the town administrator report. The new town administrator report is out on the web. So please feel free to take a look at it. Lots of facts and figures about what's going on within the town of Parker. And any questions or comments, please feel free to reach out to the mayor or Michelle. All right, moving on, public hearings. We have Cottonwood Highlands Filing 6, minor development plat. Ms. Parkinson.
Good evening, Council, Mayor Pro Tem. Tonight we'll be reviewing a request for a subdivision in Cottonwood Highlands. Representatives for the applicant, land development consultants, are present to answer any questions following staff's presentation. The applicant has provided evidence that all public notice requirements have been met. The site is located at the northeast corner of Jordan Road and Parker House Road, a little north of E470. The applicant is proposing to subdivide the existing 8.3 acre parcel into 3 lots and 1 tract. Subdivision of this site will result in 3 commercial lots and 1 non-buildable tract that will contain an on-site detention basin. There is no regional stormwater infrastructure currently for the site. There is significant existing and planned residential development in the area, and neighborhood-oriented commercial services are currently lacking. A site plan has been conditionally approved for Lot 2-1 to permit a convenience store with a gas canopy and a single-bay car wash. To date, no other site plan proposal has been submitted for this development. Site plan approval will not take effect until and unless the minor development plat has been approved and recorded. Previously, this site was Lot 2 of the Cottonwood South subdivision, which was platted in Douglas County prior to annexation to the town. The site was annexed in February of 2006. The name of the subdivision does not change at annexation. However, when parcels are platted within the town, the subdivision name does change to align with the town's platting nomenclature. The 8.3-acre site is currently vacant. Drainage flows generally northeast to an existing storm pipe and discharges through an off-site detention pond. To maintain historic drainage flows for the new development, an on-site detention pond is required and will be located on Tract A. There is no 100-year floodplain present on the site. The site is adjacent to vacant land within the town to the west and to the south. To the north is a storage facility located in Douglas County, and to the east is a multifamily residential development also in Douglas County. Staff has reviewed the application for compliance with relevant regulatory land development documents. The proposal is consistent with the Land Development Code, the Cottonwood Highlands PD Guide, and the 2035 Master Plan. Cottonwood Water and Sanitation District, IREA, and Excel have indicated adequate capacity and an ability to serve the minor development. Engineering has reviewed and approved the construction drawings for compliance with the Town of Parker Storm Drainage and Environmental Criteria Manual and the Master Drainage Report for Cottonwood Highlands. The development will be served by 2 points of access, one on Jordan Road and one on Parker House Road, and an internal access drive. Vehicular access and circulation has been reviewed by staff from both engineering and community development and are compliant with the relevant regulations. Per the construction specifications and design considerations for Parks, Trails, and Streetscapes Manual, pedestrian access will be improved by a new detached sidewalk along Jordan Road. Staff received a comment letter from a resident of the Grandview Estates subdivision in Douglas County. These comments were received after the staff report was sent to council. Commissioners will find this correspondence on the dais. I understand that the gentleman has a revised package for you as well. These comments revolve around 2 main points: the existing prairie dog colony on site and increased water runoff resulting from ground disturbance during development. As the Mayor Pro Tem and Council may remember from previous development applications on properties with existing colonies, the town follows state requirements regarding prairie dog mitigation. Prairie dogs are not a protected species, and there is no requirement for the owner to relocate the colony currently on site. With regards to the increased water runoff, the applicant has complied with all requirements for water detention to ensure no change in historic flows, and that water quality has been addressed. Staff has determined that the Cottonwood Highlands Filing 6 minor development meets the 6 criteria required for a minor development plat as noted on this slide. The proposal is consistent with the 2035 Master Plan and supports commercial growth within the town. The uses that are anticipated will benefit the town's tax base and will provide neighborhood services that are lacking in the area currently. The application was unanimously recommended for approval at a public hearing before the Planning Commission on June 28, 2018. Staff and the Planning Commission recommend that Town Council approve the Cottonwood Highlands Filing 6 minor development plat. Staff will be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. Council, any questions?
Not at the moment.
All right. Does the applicant want to step up, or is there a presentation?
No, the applicant's here for questions, but they have no presentation.
Great. Any questions for the applicants? No? All right. Seeing as though it is a public hearing, it is time for public session, or I'm sorry, public comment. Oh, geez, thank you. Anybody wishing to talk to us about this specific action, please step up. You'll have 3 minutes, and please provide your name and address. Yeah, public comments open at 7:21.
Before we start the time, I would like to approach and share a copy of my revised paper with you.
Please do.
Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it. Wow.
Mr. Ramsey, it's good to state his name and address. What's up? It's good to state his name and address.
You're good? Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
My name is Kenneth Ramsey. I live at 3862 Elm Avenue, Parker, Colorado, 80134. I have two related issues to address with you. First is the welfare of the prairie dog colony located on this property. Second is the increased water runoff that will occur from the development of this property. I urge a no vote on this matter until these two issues are properly addressed. We are now in the process of learning the limits of our water supply. Water that would have been held in the earth before new construction instead quickly flows downstream or evaporates in evaporation ponds. This site has a colony of prairie dogs. Prairie dogs are part of our wildlife heritage, and their burrows are important tools in groundwater recharge. Today, I ask that the prairie dogs' lives at this site be spared. Poisoning prairie dogs is cruel and inhuman in many ways. Poison causes tremendous pain and suffering through internal bleeding that can last for days. Killing prairie dogs is a terrible and unnecessary waste of this wildlife resource. Prairie dogs are an important and underappreciated key asset of our great American Plains heritage that we should be using to our benefit everywhere possible. We especially want prairie dog colonies where there is significant water runoff occurring. If prairie dogs cannot stay where they are now, then they should be relocated and protected. I am willing to make a donation to this effort if necessary. A last resort should be death by carbon dioxide. Poisoning of prairie dogs should be forbidden. Communities and land developers all along the Front Range are beginning to take steps to relocate prairie dogs, to protect prairie dogs, or to include prairie dogs in site plans. Prairie dogs should be protected in Parker also. Prairie dogs are a great entertainment attraction. Their caring family groups are a joy to watch. Prairie dogs are among the least harmful and most helpful creatures on our planet. All wildlife needs food, water, and shelter. Prairie dog colonies have existed along roadways, along trails, and open space all around Douglas County for many years and should continue to do so. Prairie dogs are food for many other creatures. Prairie dog burrows provide shelter for many other creatures. Killing prairie dogs is taking away a food supply for other wildlife species. Poisoning prairie dogs also poison any creatures that eat the poisoned prairie dogs. The loss of prairie dogs means that many other wildlife species will also die off. In my opinion, poisoning an entire prairie dog colony is a massive animal abuse event. Concerning animal abuse, there is in the July 13, 2018 Saturday Denver Post a quote from United States Representative Kathleen Clark, quote, "From Columbine to Parkland to Sutherland Springs, these perpetrators of mass gun violence had a history of animal abuse, and addressing this pattern of behavior is part of the solution when it comes to preventing gun violence and saving lives," unquote. Uncontrolled destruction of our wildlife is very bad policy with far-reaching consequences. Please save and protect our prairie dogs by including them in your site planning. Please do a better job of managing water runoff and groundwater recharge. I urge your no approval vote until these two issues have been properly addressed. For Parker prairie dogs and Parker wildlife, this is a life and death decision. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ramsey. Is there anybody else for public comment? Seeing none, I will close public comment at 7:26. Council, I will entertain further discussion or a motion.
Can both motions be done together, or do they need to be separate?
Please provide the motion separately.
I move to approve, based on staff findings, the Cottonwood Highlands 5 and 6 minor development plat.
Second.
I have a motion by Renee, a second by Amy. Council, please vote. Motion passes unanimously, 4-0.
I move to approve, based on staff findings, the Cottonwood Highlands Filing 6 Subdivision Improvement Agreement.
Second.
I have a motion by Renee, a second by Amy. Council, please vote. Motion carries 4-0. Thank you. Moving on, we have another public hearing, First Amendment to Tax and Fee Assistance Program Agreement with Two Combs Enterprises, Inc. Mr. Carlson.
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, members of the council, thank you for your time this evening. We're asking you tonight to consider amending a tax and fee agreement that the council entered into on April 3rd, 2017 with the Two Combs Enterprises, Inc. to develop a Spring Hill Suites by Marriott, a limited service hotel in the West Creek subdivision. The previously approved tax and fee assistance agreement consisted of a rebate of 50% of building permit fees and construction taxes, and a rebate of 50% of sales taxes, excluding the lodging taxes, for a period not to exceed 5 years, and for a combined maximum rebate of all fees and taxes that shall not exceed $275,000. The agreement also contained a requirement that a condition precedent, namely the completion of that construction, be accomplished prior to June 30th, 2018. Numerous delays in the approval of final design and the commencement of construction have had a significant impact on the completion date of the project. However, construction is well underway, and completion is now scheduled for sometime in the spring of 2019. Staff believes that the project still offers all the benefits outlined in the original agreement and will achieve the original vision of the Town Council. For that reason, staff recommends that the TAP agreement be amended with a new condition precedent date of December 31st, 2019. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, Matt. Questions, council? No. Any questions or comments from Two Combs? Are they here? Would they like to make a? No? Okay.
I think we're fine.
Fantastic. All right. With this being a public hearing, we will open it up for public comment at 7:29. Anybody would like to come up and make a comment on this? Seeing none, I will close public comment at 7:29, and I will entertain a motion or further discussion from council.
I move to approve the First Amendment to the Tax and Fee Program Assistance Agreement for Two Combs Enterprise Incorporated.
Second.
I have a motion by Debbie, a second by Renee. Council, please vote. Motion passes unanimously 4-0. Thank you. Moving on, we have an ordinance number 1.507.3 on second reading, a bill for an ordinance to adopt the 2018 revised budget for the town of Parker and to make appropriations for the same. Ms. Brown.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and Council. Well, tonight we're going to talk about the second round of adjustments to the 2018 budget. As you'll recall, a couple of months ago, you approved a set of adjustments to the budget that brought our revenue and expense into line with each other. And tonight we need to go through that process again. So this is the public hearing and the second reading for that action. As you'll recall, we've been having an issue with our sales tax revenue in 2018. If we look back to where we were about a year ago, we were at a 10.4% growth rate over the prior year. We ended up the year at 5.9%, and today through June, we are sitting at 4.6%. So we have continued to see that year-over-year growth rate decline. That first round of adjustments that we did in the May timeframe actually brought our 2018 budget in line with the revenue that we saw actually occur in 2017. So that decline that went from a 10.4% growth rate down to the 5.9% growth rate, that's what we were adjusting for in May. In June now, or July, we are looking at adjusting for what has actually happened during the 2018 timeframe. You can see from the numbers on this slide, our original budget was just a little over $38 million for our sales tax revenue, and we are proposing to drop that another $2 million. The interim step took it down to 35.4, and we are recommending tonight that it go down to 33.4.
So in order to do that, we have several sets of adjustments that we need to make again. We have about 8 different categories. I'm not going to go through all of the detail in each of these, but I will hit on some of the details for the major ones. The largest adjustment that we are making is with our transfer to the cultural fund. The general fund makes that transfer to the cultural fund, and so we have adjusted both the cash balance for that fund. There was an excess cash balance that built up in 2017. We've also increased revenues to reflect the run rate that we're on for the ticket sales and rentals within the buildings within the cultural fund, and then also a $140,000 reduction to expense.
We got to see that out there too.
That was good. All right. From there, we go down to reductions related to people. I'm happy to acknowledge that we have not eliminated any positions that have people associated with them. None of these savings that we're implementing implement our public safety personnel either. So we have, I believe it's about 6 positions that we are leaving open for the full 12 months in 2018, and that is generating the majority of these savings. The savings that you see up there are a combination of both salary and benefits. The IT allocation reduction is mainly attributable to a scope reduction for the switch replacement project, which will not have any major impact on the town in 2018. The town-wide reductions are where we made some philosophical and process changes for 2018. We approached this from the standpoint that there were some reductions that we wanted to make on an equal basis across all departments. So these town-wide reductions fall in the area of meals and meetings, travel, education, general supplies, and furniture. One of the major ways that we're going to save some money within this area is with the implementation of the use of the contract pricing that we have available through the school district. Depending upon the size of paper that we're ordering, we may be able to save up to 50% on those paper costs. The next area is project deferrals. There we are looking at a couple of changes. The first one being a reduction in the town marketing contract, a deferral of the economic development retail study, extending the citizen survey from 2 to 3 years, and also a deferral of a document scanning project. The repair and maintenance within Parks and Public Works is another contributing factor to these adjustments. The major contributor to that is a reduction in the maintenance to town parking lots. In working with Public Works, we do not believe that there is any major lasting impact to that reduction. The Parks Department is also stepping up and looking at their repair and maintenance also and reducing that by $20,000. The $46,000 is all kind of related to personnel again, from employee recognition and events to the implementation of a 360-degree feedback program. The last item is other. Unfortunately, we always have to have other, or I'd be up here forever going through everything. I would tell you, and probably for the benefit of the public watching, included in this $143,000 is a reduction in expense of $18,000 for the carriage rides that happen at the holidays. These reductions do total just slightly over $2 million, so we were able to achieve our goal. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Great. Thanks, Mary Lou. Council, any questions? Nope. All right. Seeing no questions up here, I'd like to turn it over to public comment. I'd like to open public comment at 7:36. Is there anybody who wants to come up and talk about this matter? Seeing none, I will close public comment at 7:36, and I will entertain either a motion or further discussion from council.
I move to approve ordinance number 1.507.3 on second reading.
Second.
I have a motion from Renee, a second by Amy. Council, please vote. Motion passes 4-0. Thank you. On to the next agenda item, ordinances. First up, ordinance number 1.513 on second reading. A bill for an ordinance to approve the memorandum of agreement CMS number 14-56516 for a local jurisdiction regulation of conveyances pursuant to the Elevator and Escalator Certification Act, Title IX, Article 5.5, Colorado Revised Statutes between the Colorado Department of Labor and Employment, Division of Oil and Public Safety, and the Town of Parker. Mr. Sale.
Good evening, Council, Mayor Pro Tem. Thank you for having me tonight. Yes, the ordinance 1.513 for the second reading for the elevator conveyance MOA with the state. The building division is responsible for elevator inspections on all new projects and any existing buildings. And with that, the specialized nature of the inspections and stuff, we will continue our contract with an outside consultant for the elevator inspections. The cost of providing the service is covered by the application and permit fees charged to the building owners and developers when the elevators are due up for inspections. The Elevator and Escalator Act declares that in order to ensure a minimum safety standards throughout Colorado, the regulation of conveyance is a matter of statewide concern. In 2013, the Town of Parker and the Colorado Department of Labor and Employment entered into a 5-year contract, and well, we're up on that. So we are ready to extend this for the new agreement, which would expire in 2013. And I move to approve the ordinance 1.513 and answer any questions.
Great. Council, any questions for Randy?
I would venture to guess the hospital has the highest number of elevators.
Yes, they do. 11
What's the total
right
number
now.
that we have in the town of Parker?
Right now, we have 121.
We really?
With
Oh,
more
okay.
coming.
What, 121 elevators?
Elevators, no escalators yet.
Except, we don't have, no steps at the hospital. That's, yeah.
Yeah, okay, just curious.
Okay, all right, thank you.
That was my only question, sorry.
Yeah, I would have missed that trivial question on
Right,
121 elevators.
And that's just commercial, not residential.
Correct. We only have about 3 residentials.
Wow.
Yep, all right.
Any additional questions? With that, I'd like to entertain a motion.
Come up.
Oh, I'm sorry, public comment. I think I'm at number 4, Jim, if I'm not mistaken. I'd like to open the public comment at 7:40. Anybody want to talk about elevators and escalators? Seeing none, close public comment at 7:40, and would like to entertain further discussion or a motion.
I move to approve ordinance number 1.513 on second reading.
Second.
All right, Carol, I think we need to reset. We have a motion from Debbie and a second by Amy. Council, please vote. Motion passes 4-0. Thank you. Next ordinance, ordinance number 5.06.14, second reading, a bill for the ordinance to amend various sections of Title IX of the Parker Municipal Code concerning animals. Police Department, how are you? Good.
So the ordinance before you is actually in 2 parts. The first refers to dog litter maintenance. Currently, as it stands now, you can't separate a healthy pup until 10 weeks. We're aligning it with a state of 8 weeks. So that is when you are able to sell your healthy pup. Yeah. I'm sorry, can you not hear me?
We can't hear you.
It's too noisy.
I'm sorry, can you hear me better now?
Yeah.
So it's the separation of, it's realigning with state law of the 8 weeks to sell a healthy pup as opposed to 10 weeks. And then the second part is the deletion of 906-090B4, which is the requirement for someone to obtain an in-tag permit for $50 for the town. And then due to the lack of enforceability with that, and without having a reason to do so, we chose to remove it. We were suggesting that. That's pretty much it. If you have any questions, we're happy to answer them.
Great. Additional questions at this point in time? I think it's hailing out there now, so if anybody needs to move their cars, now's a good time.
Michelle, you have umbrellas for us, right?
No. All right, with
No
no questions, I'd like to open this for a public comment at 7:42. Anybody? Terry? With nobody stepping up, I'd like to close public comment at 7:42 and like to entertain further discussion or a motion by council.
I move to approve ordinance number 5.06.41 on second reading.
Second.
Motion by Amy, second by Debbie. Council, please vote.
Man.
Motion passes unanimously 4-0. All right, next item, ordinance number 9.
Yourself.
Sorry. Ordinance number 9.267.1, second reading, a bill for the ordinance approving the amendment to agreement regarding design and construction of drainage and flood control improvements for Cherry Creek at the KOA property, Town of Parker, agreement number 17-059.19A, project number 106722, by and between Urban Drainage and Flood Control District and the Town of Parker. Mr. James.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem and members of council. Can you hear me? Okay. The ordinance you have before you tonight is an amendment to an IGA that the Town of Parker and Urban Drainage and Flood Control District entered into last year. The previous IGA was for design of the improvements of the Cherry Creek improvements at KOA, and this is an amendment to include additional funding for final design and construction of these improvements through the property. The initial funding was $130,000. It was split 50% by the Town of Parker and 50% by Urban Drainage. This amendment will be the same split, a 50% split. It'll be $250,000 per entity. The agreement may be amended in 2019 to include additional funding, as this amendment you have before you today is for a portion of the improvements on the south side of the reach. So in 2019, we may come before you to ask to amend it to include the northern segment for final design and construction. In addition, in 2019, we'll be requesting an additional funding partner with the Cherry Creek Basin Water Quality Authority as an additional project stakeholder. To refresh your memory from the original IGA, the area identified in red here is the project length. It starts on the south end at McCabe Meadows Park, and it goes through the north around the Flat Acres Farm property. The southern segment is mostly degrading by the channel downcutting. It's downcut about 3 feet in some areas, and as you can see in the picture, there's heavy bank erosion causing vertical banks. And then on the northern segment, this design is meant to set the corridor up for future improvements with development and also a potential roadway crossing. So with that, this project will provide an engineering design for the stability of the Cherry Creek Channel. It'll reduce erosion and sediment transport downstream. It's eligible for urban drainage maintenance in the future, and it provides an engineering design through the KOA property to inform development of obligations with the KOA property. So with that, staff recommends approval of ordinance number 9.267.1, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Great, thank you, Jacob. Council, any questions for Jacob? No? Seeing no questions, I open this for public comment at 7:45. Anybody want to come up and talk? Seeing none, I will close public comment at 7:45, and with that, I will entertain additional discussion or a motion from council.
I move to approve ordinance number 9.267.1 on second reading.
Second.
Motion by Debbie, second by Amy. Council, please vote. Yeah, did you vote?
Yeah, I did.
We have Debbie?
Did I did?
No.
There we go.
Oh, there we go. Motion passes unanimously 4-0. And with no other business before council, I will adjourn this meeting at 7:46.